On the next all-new episode of Housing Complex C.
Killy, dear! Good evening. Sorry to be a bother. You can all be human sacrifices to my god!
Housing Complex C. Next Saturday at midnight. Next day on HBO Max.
Don't worry about me, Kimmy! Run! How dare you! You think I'm just going to let you toy with my feelings this way?
Lady Toa!
Lady Toa, you mustn't!
On the next all-new episode of Yashahime, Princess Half-Demon.
She's become blinded with rage.
What fury! Like the great dog demon! Stop this, Aunt Zero! It's not right!
Yashahime, Princess Half-Demon. Next Saturday at 12:30. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
The following program may contain coarse language, suggestive dialogue, and discussion of violent imagery and sexual situations. It is intended for mature listeners who can tell the difference between facts and opinions.
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Toonami Faithful Podcast. I'm your host today, it is CJ Maffris here, and alongside I have...
Paul Biscrillo, the founder of ToonamiFaithful.com.
And...
an editorial writer, LaserKid.
Hooray! Not the cast that you were expecting, I'm sure. We've had a lot of moving parts, and we're bringing up the substitutes, the B team. I mean, whichever one you want to go for, but
You guys,
I
the
am-
B team.
I am not the B
like the D team.
we are the subs, so we're
I
definitely...
am not the B team. I am awesome. Thank you very much.
You're A in your head, but B in spirit.
I'm gonna kill you.
It's the way it... Well, hey, I mean, it comes with the theme of what we'll be talking about today.
I mean, if we're saying B for having a baby, yes, I have a baby. So yes. I'll agree with that.
But as you can tell, we're definitely, off our game a little bit. We're going to be, talking about the new Toonami original, Housing Complex C, Episode 2. Because last week, Kuro hosted a review of Episode 1. She also wrote a little review for the first episode as well. Joined, by Sketch, Laser, and V-Lord as well. So... Laser's a little bit more well-versed in all that's going on. Paul and I will be discussing our thoughts and feelings for the first time, which should be fun, maybe. I don't know if viewers or listeners care about our opinions as much as, Kuro's and Sketches, but, we're here. We're here to do what we can, pick up the slack while they're away. So, I guess we can kind of start here, and Laser, since you were on the first episode... How are you feeling with episode 2 after seeing episode 1?
It's actually really interesting because episode 1 was very good at just setting the scene, getting us used to the characters whose names I still don't have memorized, except for Kimi. She's a good girl. And it's really interesting seeing how slowly and yet effectively it's building up what's going on. It's not hitting us over the head with anything yet, but it is ramping it up where things are getting interesting. There's a lot of little things that just kind of catch your eye. You might call them optical illusions.
I see what you did there.
But it's been interesting how in the first episode, everything was just, set up and, I wonder what's going on here. I wonder what's going on here. Oh, but what about there? And now in episode 2, we're already having not one, but 2 deaths. And of course,
and I guess about that too, do you like how there's not necessarily setting up the deaths, but the symmetry when it comes, or, the symbolism when it comes to the moss showing up?
I think it's very interesting and also quite telling because the moss clearly has something to do with what's going on, and people are turning into moss.
Mossman.
Mossman. All right,
Or that's what we think is going on.
We're in
Right.
Eternia. We're gonna get call on He-Man and Mossman. They're gonna go beat Skeletor at his evil game. That's totally
Oh
what's going
God, you're aging us, Laser. Stop.
on. I'm 41. I can do what I want.
He has his AARP card already,
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah, well, I'm getting there.
Oh gosh! But speaking of age, one of the big things that caught my eye in this episode was the calendar. And the first time I saw it, I caught a corner of my eye. I'm like, did that say 2000?
Yeah, a lot of people were making a big deal of it. Should it be a big deal in 2000?
It's not a big deal, but it's interesting because it's unexpected that it would take place in 2000. I thought it was contemporary. Initially.
Nah. Spooky stuff happens with older things. Come on, Laser.
I actually quite like it because that is not a time period you typically see things set in unless it was made around that year, you know?
Yeah.
Well, people like to do 80s
I guess like a
stuff,
Y2K thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, people like to do 80s stuff. I mean, if you're into Stranger Things, like my friend got me into recently, there's that for 80s stuff, and there's all manner of 90s stuff. But really, you don't get 2000 as a setting very often. It's kind of this mid-period where technology's not quite where it is now, but it's better than it is in nostalgic periods for a lot of people. It's a very interesting space, and I really hope they examine that more and go with, okay, we have phones. We don't really have smartphones, although I think they kind of have smartphones.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a minute.
But, I mean, smartphones, I guess you kind of had early ones back then, but...
I don't know if I did. Maybe. I don't remember.
I didn't get a smartphone until 2012, but I was late to the party.
I'm also, during 2000, I was 10 years old, so...
During 2000, I was a junior in high school,
right.
So...
That would
in fact, that was actually when I got my first dumb phone. It was a green and black Game Boy screen cell phone.
Man, it would have been great if they added, those old flip phones instead, like a Motorola Razr.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
really,
older
really
and
cool.
older the longer this conversation
What's wrong with
goes
flip
on.
phones? I love the Motorola
They're great.
Razr.
I wish you could have a flip phone smartphone combo because you don't have to hurt in the screen; it just closes in on itself.
Or those the flip phones where you can go sideways to text.
Oh yeah.
That would have been
I had a
fun.
phone that was just a regular phone, but you flip it open and then it flipped open horizontally, and you had a little key.
Yeah,
physical.
I remember those.
Speaking of that, it's very interesting that if this is supposed to be in the year 2000, why do they have a cell phone that's
we were just
clearly a
saying that,
smartphone?
Paul. Yeah. That's the
I
whole
don't
point.
get
That's
it.
why
I
I think that's probably
Let's
why people were mentioning
Yeah.
the year, or making a big deal about the year more than I really would care to. But Laser, it sounds like you are at least enjoying where the series is going so far.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's lots of little things. The other thing I noticed is let's get some shaved ice. I've got a knife for shaved ice. I can talk. Let me get this knife I have right here that has Cthulhu all over it, and no one's gonna say a word about that. What's going on with that?
Well, it's
And
like
yeah, I really
it's like the
enjoy-
whole horror trope of the car won't start. Well, you're not putting the keys in the ignition. that type of trope that you normally see. So it's of course they're not gonna notice all these changes and all this different stuff going on. So I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying it. Now, Paul, I don't necessarily think this is a show that you would enjoy, but I'm curious on your thoughts on Housing Complex C so far through episode 1 and most recently episode 2.
It's not my cup of tea. You're right about that. I mean, it's 4 episodes, so I'm going to see what it's all about and go from there. It definitely would not be in my wheelhouse of, I need to go watch this. Obviously, I wanted to watch it to see what this could be.
Are you a horror fan at all? Not and excluding anime, just in general, whether it be scary movies. Or
I would say, well, actually, I would say, if we're talking anime, I would say probably yes, because I enjoyed Tokyo Ghoul, and especially what I think is still. Well, I enjoyed. Season 1. I enjoyed.
No. I Paul, you don't have to clarify about Tokyo Ghoul. I like all of Tokyo Ghoul, so you don't have. I don't have a problem with that. But I don't know if I would necessarily call that horror, right?
Well, no. I'm getting to it, but I would call Parasite a horror anime.
Yeah, I would go there. Yeah, yeah.
And Parasite being, in my view, the best series that Toonami in this iteration has had. Yeah, I would. I'm interested more because of Parasite.
Okay.
Season 1 of The Promised Neverland. I don't know if you could call that.
I would say that more
horror.
psychological.
Yeah,
in a sense,
but-
more so than
I think
horror.
that's what
But
this is going on.
But yeah, that's what I was saying.
you
That's what I
did
was
like
gonna
it
go
though,
for.
right? If I recall.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
liked
yeah,
season one.
okay.
I never watched season 2 because I heard how bad it was, and I was just like,
Read the manga.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't want to disappoint myself because season 1 was so fire to me.
Read the manga so you can get Goldie Pond goodness.
But
Yeah.
what was I gonna say? So yes, Laser, that's actually where I was going with it. I think it's more along the lines of this series doesn't seem so much as a horror as more a psychological series and more of a build up to something that's going to just leave more questions than answers at the end.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
least
I
that's
see
where
that.
it seems like it's going.
I see that too. I do see some of the horror elements that like Kuro mentioned in like her pieces and stuff like that, as well as I will say in episode 2 there were a few moments where you had a little bit of tension where you feel waiting for like a jump scare. I felt and that kind of thing, which I would equate definitely to a horror thing. I don't know. I was just more so like just wondering for your sake, just due to the fact that this is your first time talking about it.
I think what's got me interested to a point is I'm kind of interested to know what's going on here because, like, okay, clearly we're seeing this moss, and now when these people are gone, the moss is there. So we're clearly sitting here thinking, okay, maybe these are the dead people, or maybe these are the people dead and they turn into moss. Is that the case? Who knows? We'll find out.
Right. And I feel like
Find out what's in the bowl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I feel like they are trying to hint at, like, some sort of connection between the moss and the island itself. I'm not quite sure what yet. I don't know.
I think there's something. I mean, so I think my biggest issue is the trailer is hinting at something else.
Which trailer?
The trailer for the series.
Like
trailer
the overall like stuff.
Right.
Got you.
So,
I wasn't sure if you meant like an episode preview.
No. So it felt like there was something supposed to be different,
Mm-hmm.
and in reality, what I'm trying to say. So the promo made it seem like it was different, like something different was going to happen. And so far, as I'm watching this, I'm going, where is this going to happen? Because it feels like there's supposed to be some kind of creatures or something doing this, and we haven't seen anything happen yet to where like they woke up some kind of creatures and they're supposedly doing this, but we're not seeing that yet.
Right.
So that's kind of got me intrigued as to, okay, so you made this promo this way, but we're not seeing that yet. What is going on here?
I think they might be setting up not necessarily creatures, but more about, and this is a very typical horror trope of like the one person that seems obviously not on the up and up, like Khan. Like, you notice how a lot of the clues, I wouldn't say clues, but a lot of suspicion kind of befalls on them just because of how weird he's been acting throughout the first 2 episodes. Like, they saw him taking all those dead animal bodies away from Kimi's apartment. Him trying to catch Kimi when she like fell. Yet he seems not all too bright, or he looks funny. So like usually they're ostracized to think that there's something wrong with them.
Wasn't that him in episode 1 in the beginning there?
Yep.
I feel like he's going to be a red herring.
Right.
So
No. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that's like, and that's a typical horror thing where it's like, it first kind of shows like, oh, it might be dangerous, but in actuality, when you see it all play out, it's like, oh no, just more misunderstood. That's what at least feels like the big setup, at least with when it comes to, I wouldn't say necessarily the force of what's going on, but more so of just how the story is portraying itself right now.
Right. But so I'm interested just to kind of see where this is going to lead. I mean, it's 4 episodes. It's not anything that's going to be like, it's not going to be anything that's going to waste my time because it's 4 episodes. If you can't do half-an-hour episodes, then really, I don't know what to tell you.
Laser, Paul doesn't like it because he's scared. He's scared already.
No.
I mean, it's
I will
funny we
say-
talk about this because I don't normally like horror. but I don't
Really?
actually think this is horror.
What's wrong with horror? What's wrong with you
Oh,
guys? I love
I
horror.
just don't like being scared.
Aw,
But I
you
do like what I
freaking
like to call
scaredy
horror
cats.
adjacent. Like I like Stranger Things. I like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That is
I even like-
okay. I'm gonna. That is not horror.
That's why I called it horror adjacent.
I wouldn't even say it's adjacent.
Oh, I would. It does some things.
I think you're being a little too loose with those words you're throwing out there, Mr. LaserKid Prime.
We're using my handle from Skype, eh?
Yeah, oh, that's when you know.
Well, so I mean, the one thing I do like, I like the introduction music, and I actually kind of
Oh, the
like
opening. You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Kuro actually, like, she gave me her notes as well to, like, use for this. That's the very first thing. OP music's a banger. It is. It's
Yeah.
very
Right.
good. No, it is very
absolutely
good.
is a
and it's
banger.
in English.
Yeah.
That's different. That's different.
You see that sometimes. One of the Fire Force ones. God, what was it? It was, I think, Mayday? That one's...
But was it?
Yeah, you're right. It did do
But
that.
Did they do that? Did they do that with the sub, or was it
Yeah.
just the English stuff?
No,
Okay.
no, it was both.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't
Because
think...
you know, like sometimes in the past, and
That
they've
was a
pretty much only done
long
this.
time ago, though.
Well, but with Super, they did it.
That's-
Yeah,
where-
they did,
but
but that was
Super-
more of a, hey, look, we used to do this.
Yeah, I was about to say, Super is kind of its own case compared to, like, other anime. It's very rare for them
I mean,
to...
Did
even
they
One
do that in
Piece
One
stopped
Piece
it.
sometimes too?
They
Yeah.
did back when they first started doing it, but by the time they got to the Water 7 arc, which was the
Yeah.
first one that was aired on Modern Toonami, that was gone.
Yeah, but like, no, like it, I think a lot of people really do. I mean, really like the opening, considering that like Maki and people tweeting about who worked on the show are like, oh, if you want to know, this is where the song is from, and everyone's like, oh my god, it sounds so good. So it is good. I guess more so when I look at Housing Complex C is the fact horror is a very tough thing to hit. I generally, like, when I'm watching horror, I hate jump scares only because I think it's very cheap. And to me, it's like, oh, you have to resort to that to actually get the reaction that you want. I want something legitimately scary. And I'm going to throw a sports joke just to piss Paul off because I think it'd be funny. Like the Buffalo Bills winning a Super Bowl. That is a very scary timeline. I'm kidding.
Says the man that lives in Boston.
Yes, I know.
Hey man, I'm the ever
Where's the
suffering,
Red
Denver
Sox,
Bronco fan,
CJ?
so you know.
Oh,
What's the
they're
Red Sox doing right now?
garbage, but they've won more World Series than the Yankees this generation.
Oh, you had to pause and say this generation.
Well, it's true.
Let me bring
though.
27 for you.
Hmm?
Let me bring you all the World Series that you your Yankees have
I
won
generally
already.
look at it to where if you weren't alive, it's very hard to brag. It's the same thing I say with the Celtics. I've only seen one championship, so I don't get why anyone really touts the Celtics as like a big deal. That, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't alive for all their titles. That's usually, I at least do that just because like it's hard for me to boast about something that I was never really around or cared about, right? That's just me. You're perfectly fine of doing that, like with the like what Canadian fans do, some Celtics fans do, all that blah 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 blah. No. I only joke because like horror to me, I like when you really kind of mess with the mind into something really scary, and you can add your jump scares every here and there because like I get that you need some of that adrenaline boost to go with it. And what's funny about Housing Complex C, I haven't had that. I haven't really had the jump scare kind of thing. I've had the tension and uneasiness due to how some of the music has been playing throughout the episode, some of the camera shots, and Kuro's been able to kind of pinpoint on certain moments when it comes to, oh wow, what's going on here? Oh, it's very off-putting how they do it. And like I remember when we find the second body of the Mossman, or the second Mossman body, where they're like, where has he been? He should have been here by now. And all of a sudden you like start getting the panting. I was feeling very uneasy. And then he opens the door and like it wasn't actually scary, but the fact that like what led to it actually kind of led to a little bit of like the heart pumping a bit, which I was like, oh, that's great. You're actually getting that type of reaction. But I always find, especially considering that this series is only 4 episodes, I think I need a little bit more of that. And maybe we'll get it for the next 2 episodes too. So I'm not necessarily faulting Housing Complex C of how it's been going. But it's one of those types of things where I think it needed a little bit more of a kickstart to be able to really get it. Because honestly, like episode 1, it was just setting up a lot, which is fine. You need to have that setup. You need to kind of get the lay of the land kind of down. You know, all of a sudden Kimi shows up, or not Kimi, well, like she shows up with Yuri, right? Yuri and her mom show up, the interns, the foreigners, and stuff like that. So you get a lot of elements coming together of like a lot of distrust that's going to be starting, as we also saw with the racist lady, right? So you have a level of distrust where it's going to create some friction, and then like the great analogy of like the mismatched buttons, where it's like you start off on the wrong foot with that, it leads to more mistakes and it just gets worse and worse. Like we're seeing that. It's almost like that a rolling stone gathers no moss, right? And yet all of a sudden everything's going wrong, so all the moss is starting to pile up. I think it's good for a storytelling thing, and I do agree where it doesn't feel quite like a horror yet. I think it needed to have more of the horror vibes as opposed to this adjacent form of it. And maybe, and like I say, maybe we'll get that for episodes 3 and 4. And maybe I'm just biased because to me, like the only real like horror anime that really kind of got me was Another, right? Like to me, I think that's like the best example of what a horror anime can accomplish. And to me, what it sucks is what kind of made that to me what I'd want in that type of kind of series is the fact that we had like a very gruesome moment that I will like never ever forget, when the umbrella goes through the person's eye. So it's one of those kind of things where it was more of a gruesome thing, which is kind of like the jump scare element, but it's just, it feels so hard to get it down for these types of things as opposed to like live action, right? Like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong with that, but like I always feel that like the Freddy's, the Jasons, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, like Saws, like they have that element that makes it like a bit scarier. I think that's a lot harder for animation to pull off, but maybe I'm off base on it, and maybe has in Complex C. I mean, how did you guys feel of episode 2, how it ended, right? Because to me, everything I thought was really good, and then we got to that and I was like, that's it. Like I don't know, I felt like I needed more from that ending.
I actually really liked how it ended, because it was like, oh, there's some eldritch horror thing in your soup. How did that get there? And for me, I think that's probably what I'm really digging about Housing Complex C. Not so much the horror element, but the mystery element. What is going on? Why is things happening the way they're happening? That's what's gripping me. Is there's so many questions that I really want the answers to.
But Laser, you get that in One Piece.
I do get that. You realize
you're telling me One Piece is a horror adjacent. There we go. We got it.
Yeah, One Piece is horror adjacent. I mean, if you're watching Thriller Bark, maybe.
We got it. But that's why I feel like the mystery part, like being like that, the hook of it kind of misses the point of what the series I think is supposed to be.
You may well be right about that. And certainly if I was more of a horror junkie, I'd probably feel the same way. But I am the kind of guy who's like, I don't want to be scared, but I do want to know what's going on and some weird shit is going on.
Being scared is okay. You're allowed to be scared. But Paul, what would you say, at least how the episode ended? Like, as I'm mentioning how I thought the build up for it was really good, but it kind of fell a little flat for me of giving me that kind of scare.
Trying to think what other series was like this. Obviously, it's the other series weren't like horror series, but it kind of feels like this episode is split up. Not episode. This series is kind of split up, though it feels like they're individual episodes. It also kind of feels like, okay, maybe this whole thing is supposed to be one thing and they just split it into episodes, because to answer your question, is part of the buildup. Because we kind of had the first part that introduced everybody and kind of started to introduce what's going on. Then we kind of move into this, okay, people are all moved in. Things are starting to happen. Fish are still happening. For some odd reason, there's
fish.
Dead animals.
Yeah, I just love that fish is happening.
Fish is happening. Fish is happening. I have no idea what to say to that.
I know, right?
The dead animals that were hidden.
Which I will admit was creepy. 100%.
Yeah,
like that definitely gave the creepy vibe that I would get in a horror film.
So it's very interesting to see, like, okay, is episode 3 going to get us to the top of the hill, and then 4 is going to bring us down to the ending, or is this just going to be something that just you know, slaps us in the face at the very end, and then you're just kind of sitting here going, what just happened?
Like a wet sausage, as they say.
Yes. So
Neither of you could know that because you weren't here, but I actually, the feel I really get from this, it really reminds me of Paranoia Agent.
Ooh, okay.
And
That's
that's a
not-
good thing.
That's not a bad compare. I could see that too. As like, and I think for me, where I can see where you're coming from with it is a lot of the creepy elements, right? Like how Khan was kind of obsessed with making sure that those dead animal bodies weren't seen by Kimi. Like Kimi's rendition of that story and like lore, because it was actually a lot like when you actually pay attention to it, it's a little creepier. Like, why is this little girl knowing all that, right? And like I feel like she plays a part too, because if there's one thing that I wonder about is that she tasted the syrup and it's like, oh, it's fine. Then she tastes it again, she's freaking out. It's like, well, I don't know. Something didn't sit right with me. So I feel like she's playing more. Like I'm feeling like Kimi is going to be the one that like screws over Yuri, right? And like make it kind of like kind of betrayal going there. Like it was Kimi all along. She's murdering them all into moss. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, that might tie into Kimi's mom that apparently exists.
Well, I mean,
Question mark.
right?
yeah, that part is a little weird. Like,
What makes you say weird? Do you mean like weird,
Well-
like doesn't make sense, or more like uncomfortable, like the horror stuff?
so, I mean, obviously, these aren't spoilers because this happened at the end of episode 1, beginning of episode 2, where they basically find, I would say, her brother, in moss form, but they don't find her mother. But they presume her mother and her brother, even though that's clearly some kind of human that was mossified, so to speak.
Maybe it was them, both of them.
It could be.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
basically, like, I think what's making me go, wait, what's going on here is every time she goes to leave, first of all, she's still in her same apartment, which is weird. Second of all, she's saying goodbye to her mom, but it's like, and she's not like sad. So like, is the mom still there? Does she have her mom like tacked to the goddamn wall? And
Or is her mom a ghost? Woo!
right?
Well, that actually makes me
So-
think of the whole like pull, or not so much pull, but kind of the big reveal with Future Diaries.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah. At least like the big reveal. I can't really. The big reveal about
I
one
know
of the
what you
main
mean.
characters. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it because I actually thought that that one wasn't too bad. I thought it had some.
I liked that one.
Yeah.
It was
So-
a little on the weird side. But I
Yeah,
liked it.
definitely.
So yeah, I mean, I'm very interested to see. I'm just very interested to see what that part's all about too, because it's like, are you like talking to your dead mom and you know she's there, or like what's going on with this? Because obviously we see in the promotional picture her and the other girl holding hands. So it's like, are these two together channeling something evil, and that's what's causing these things to happen? You know, it's like, okay, like I don't know what to say. You know, like I guess I got to keep watching to figure out what the hell's going on here. So
I will say that is one thing that I think is pretty interesting, where the cliffhangers for this series have been actually really good to make you want to watch it. Because as you're mentioning, Paul, this isn't necessarily your cup of tea, but I think you want to at least find out how it ends. And then, like, the way that the series is kind of trying to keep you hooked with how they're ending, I think it's doing at least a decent job for you, isn't it?
it's doing a decent job. I can see why some people after episode 2 would be like, "Oh, I'm done with this." But my point,
No one's actually saying that, are they?
no, I saw Frank on Twitter saying that, and he's usually a good person to kind of gauge how people are. Frank Full Metal. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. He was like, he tweeted, I think it was yesterday, like, yeah, after this second episode, I'm done with Housing Complex C. I can't,
It's just
watch
4
this.
episodes.
But that's what I'm saying to you. I can understand why people are like, okay, maybe I'm done. But there again, like you just said, and like I said before too in this podcast, it's 4 episodes. You can deal with 4 episodes. You'll be okay.
Well, it's just
you
like,
can watch the 4 episodes.
I can understand if Housing Complex C was like 50 episodes, right? But it's like, it's just 4. Like, I don't know. And it hasn't really added anything that either is like that has blown me away, or something that's like so spooky or like uncomfortable spooky where I'm just like, oh, can't watch it, can't do it. Nope. You know what I mean? Like, I know Khan's been obviously weird, like, not just with what he's doing with gathering, the dead bodies of the animals, but like also how obsessed he seems to be with moss himself, which could lead to, oh, is he obsessed with, maybe he knows that the moss are bodies, that type of angle. I will say that the foreigners and like the interns and stuff like that, they give off a weird kind of vibe, because I mean, who prepared the ice? Wasn't it one of them, or wasn't it
No,
who was it?
What's his name? What's her name's mom there?
Oh, Yuri's mom?
Yuri's mom, yeah.
So, like, you know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, it's hard for me to kind of really pinpoint on what kind of outside force is really making all this happen. And that's always something I really enjoy in horror films, where it's like, why is this happening? And then you find the person responsible, or entity, or whatever it is. And it's just like, oh, it's really, that's how it works. I'm still kind of waiting for that moment, which, again, can give you the psychological thing, but I haven't quite felt it yet.
Well, there's also the possibility with any anime series, they go down to that basement.
Like goblins?
No. I was going to say, like, they go down to the basement. Something happened in the basement that we didn't see, where one of them got knocked out, and this is all just a fucking dream, basically.
Oh, I would hate that, though. Oh, I would so hate if that. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I hate
No, probably not, but
you're right, though. I know. Oh, I hate that so much.
That would actually be really, really annoying. It would feel like they just wasted our time, to be honest.
Yeah. Like,
well,
at least give me something. Like, I need something tangible.
I mean, but it is only 4 episodes, so I mean, you gotta kind of think like,
yeah,
there's a reason
but
this is going on.
You can still do something. You don't have to do a Saint Elsewhere joke.
Oh, thank you. I could not remember this. Thank you, Laser. Oh my god.
You're welcome. It's one of my folks' favorite shows. So
right, no, but like, I was like, what was the one that did that? Oh, I could not remember. I would be so mad. I would not. That would be a horror. It'd be my worst nightmare. It'd be like Magical Warfare nightmare. Oh my god. So, I don't know. It's just, I think I might be feeling a little more, I wouldn't say bummed, but more down on Housing Complex C, only because, like, I know how short it is, and I think I need at least a little more. Like, maybe 6 episodes would have been better. And maybe that'll change when we see how everything plays out, which we're going to find out fairly soon anyway. So it's kind of, it's just, I don't know. There's something about the show that's just difficult to gauge. I don't know if I'm the only one that might feel that way, but it's just like, it's so short, so it's hard to just cast judgment right away. But then it's like, we're already halfway done, so like, you should be able to, right?
Yeah, I feel you.
And so, I don't know, it's kind of tough, I guess. And I don't know, like, we're seeing like stuff that we should keep track of, like the changing of the calendar, who's leaving, who's around, certain things that we see in shots, like the Cthulhu knife, as Laser likes to call it, or
it's the Cthulhu knife. I'm sorry.
Or what we saw in the first episode when Kimi and Yuri were in the like cave together, right? Like all the items there, and like the stuff that Kimi was like throwing around Yuri's face, which is like, Kimi, please, don't touch that. You don't know where that's been. Please. What was that, like a mummified pup?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like,
let's just play with mummified dogs. That's fun.
Yeah, because
I have been resisting the urge to make a Yokero Taco Bell joke out of it, though.
Please don't. Please don't.
Well, that's about as much as I'm going to, because I don't know. I honestly don't know what else to do with that.
I know, but it's just like it's weird. I don't know. I think I need more, and like that's kind of the thing of why, like, God bless Kuro for doing like a review of each episode type of thing. That's why I felt like it would probably make more sense to do an all-in-one review just because of how short it is, you know. And I don't necessarily begrudge, and maybe I'm also a bit begrudging about the episode length to be able to really sink my teeth in, because I'm biased because I always like long runners. One of my favorite shows is, like, you know, Black Clover, which is over 170 episodes. My Hero Academia has a ton of episodes. You know, One Piece. One Piece
right
only has, you know, 1,000 episodes.
That's fine.
You know,
it's a simple, small show. Anybody can get into it.
As Sketch says, it's a moving target.
Yeah.
So I think it's because, like, my enjoyment of media is generally more long than short, or I prefer longer than short. You know, even though sometimes that could be bad, right? So it's kind of a tough spot, and I don't know. Maybe, like I said, there are other like horror adjacent shows or horror style that I just prefer more so in anime. Like I said, Angels of Death is another one, but that's more of like the campy horror, which I think is really funny. But it has it's actually pretty decent. I definitely.
I think the closest that I've enjoyed would be good old Hellsing Ultimate.
And I hated that show.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it for all of its cheesy goodness.
I don't know what it was. It just never really clicked with me. But I don't know. There's something. I feel like there's something I'm missing with Housing Complex C, and that's probably what's really hurting my kind of the way that I usually analyze and able to kind of like feel toward a series. All I can say is I'm happy that A, it's a Toonami original, so it's something that they have, and B, it's not a co-production, so they actually do have it. You know.
Oh man,
and
yes.
I love how much like the cast and crew have been really promoting it. They've been really big believers of it, which I think helps, right? Like
that helps an absolute ton. And I actually just wanted to say I thought it was amazing that I made my own little random post, and it got liked by someone who worked on it, and I'm like, holy cow!
Right, and I think that's really good thing. And I don't know, like, Paul, what do you think the series needs to do to really kind of? Because I feel like you're in the same boat as me with it, but what do you think it needs to do to really kind of have you sink your teeth and be like, oh, this is fun, you know? Because I think that's ultimately what Housing Complex C wants to accomplish. Be a fun little mini-series, right? Like, I feel like I'm thinking too much about it instead of just enjoying the ride.
A random action scene.
Oh my god, that's what you need. Well, I mean, it could happen technically. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say like, you know, it would be like a Goku versus Vegeta type of thing, but you might get like a fight, because I mean, we kind of saw one at the beginning of episode 1.
Yeah, we got to see how that plays out, and yeah.
Like, I know we're not going to get, you know, Kamehameha wave, but I mean, those things can be fun. Like, regular action can be fun too. I think you enjoy a good old knuckle dragging fist fight, even if there's no like powers or super abilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, you might be able to get that in that episode, or in, you know, the finale for it too. I don't know. I'm waiting for like that moment where we find out who's turning everyone into moss and like murdering them and murdering the like animals and all that, and they get like the here's Johnny type of face going on, just like, oh, here it comes, right? But I don't know. I know for me, like, when it comes to horror, I definitely prefer the more psychological, like, fucks with your head, like, oh dear God, oh, what was the Purge? Like, that's one that I really enjoyed. And I would definitely say that's like more adjacent than actual horror, right?
That's the sort of thing I could probably get into,
right? Because like that's fucked up, but you still get the tension of like, oh, are they going to live? Are they going to die?
My go-to explanation for my taste is I don't really like the Alien franchise, but I love the movie Aliens.
You're just full of contradictions, aren't you, Laser?
Then again, I love the first 2 Terminator movies, so I don't know.
What, the original first 2?
Are there more than one first 2?
Well, I'm saying to you, like, are you talking about the
Terminator
original 2?
And Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah, those are really good. Who says that they're not?
I do.
Well,
okay.
Those are horror, especially that first one.
They're not horror.
Laser.
you
we're
kidding?
gonna have a talk about what's horror adjacent and what's not.
we're gonna have to have
Okay,
we're gonna have to have a
here's
conversation.
something
Yes.
horror, Jason. That first one, man, you got a killing machine out to kill you, and you're running for your life all the time. You know that first one definitely horror.
You know what? That's the title of this podcast. What is horror and horror adjacent?
What is a man?
It's just like, I don't know. If we're gonna get to it, My Little Pony is a big horror for me. Stay away.
My Little Pony is horror adjacent.
Oh god.
I'm kidding.
Yes, yeah, I know. But yeah, so as you can tell, I guess I could say I'm more cautiously optimistic of how the series ends, just because I will say the production wise looks fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to when we get to see more gruesome moments, and I hope we get to see more gruesome moments, because I will say the close up on the whatever the thing was in the syrup, it's like I needed to get a clear view of that to really get.
We got an eyeball in it.
We got an eyeball. That was it. I need a little more, because it looked like it was a head of something. I need to see what.
To me, like something that belonged in Castlevania.
Yeah. So it was a
Which
vampire.
Makes me happy because I love that franchise. I could talk Castlevania all day.
Yes, that's horror adjacent.
Yes.
Everything. I'm just gonna say everything's horror adjacent.
Everything
this
is horror
podcast is horror adjacent.
This podcast is horror adjacent.
Oh.
I didn't mean for that to be such a meme, but apparently
It can be. It can be. Oh, it's just because I think it's where we're getting to that. It might be a little silly, right? Like I feel like at least I've mentioned things that I could definitely say are that, like The Purge. I think that I wouldn't call it horror personally. I don't even think I would call Saw horror, to be honest.
Saw is the kind of quote unquote horror that I just have absolutely no interest in.
I think I don't know what I would call it. I guess I would still call it horror, but I feel like it's a little different just because it's more about body mutilation, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, to me, not necessarily like, I do like the gruesome part of it, but to me it's not like the horror. It's just more like, ugh.
When I say horror adjacent, basically it has horror elements, like something like, say, Ghostbusters, where you're dealing with ghosts and demons and shit. That can interest me. I don't mind the elements.
I would call that Halloween
but I don't want
themed.
I guess. I can appreciate like supernatural, dark storytelling just fine.
I need to remember what
I just don't want to be scared.
The last horror movie that really like captivated me in like both thriller and scary was something with Ethan Hawke. I'm gonna have to look that up. It was really good. Really, really good. So I totally get it. I really enjoy scary. I like, probably because I enjoy scary stuff, then maybe I'm trying to put too much on to what Housing Complex C can accomplish. Because, again, horror movies are like 2.5 hours. This is 30.
Yeah.
Not even 30. This is 24 minutes.
24 minutes, 4 times. Yeah. I really, really do hope, as much as I'm enjoying it, I really hope they make more, because I actually am very concerned with the fact that we're halfway through it and it feels like we've just gotten started.
Yeah. Paul, is kind of like your thing. Do you have any predictions of what you expect to see happening?
More moss.
That's so cheap. That's a jump scare, Paul. Come on.
More fish.
Oh no, he's just. What's next? More horror adjacent elements.
We're going to go fishing with moss.
Here, I'm going to be an ass one more time. More sitting at the, I think, bus stop.
You see, that one I actually accept. That one's fair.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because I think what I like about that is, like, it sets kind of the tone, because you notice how the three men that are sitting there are always like mentioning kind of like, I wouldn't say darker stuff, but more uncomfortableness, right? Because they talk about the foreigners, they talk about stuff that's going on, they talk about how they have to protect Kimi, the dead animal bodies, those kind of things. I kind of like that, because I feel like as we get further along, it's going to be like, you're going to hear like the dreary music behind them as they're discussing and realizing that everything's falling apart. So I actually hope we get more of that.
But here's the thing. So what was it? It was 4 guys. Now it's down to 3. Are the other 3 going to be killed going forward?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Then here's my question. Is it just everybody's going to die except for the foreigners, and then we find out that these foreigners are behind this somehow?
It's like The Village, right?
Yeah. Well, here's one thing that if people were listening and picked up on, they would be like, oh, maybe this is the reason this is going on. If you remember, those foreigners are there because they're doing some kind of technology project. So I'm kind of sitting here thinking to myself, like, So do you got some kind of device you're testing on the other
Turning people into
residents?
moths, right?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I do think that I think that each of like the men who are sitting at the bus stop all the time, I think they kind of serve as like the checkpoints, as like they might fall one by one. I think more so,
Yeah.
and obviously they're setting up the foreigners to have like a Resident Evil type of vibe, where there's like the more recent one, right, where everything's just out to kill you. Get ready, it's gonna happen. But proving the racist woman right, I guess. But I don't know. It's definitely an interesting concept because we've seen elements of that before, right? Where it's kind of like everyone on the island could be up against one another or so, or up against the new, or the people that are coming into the island are like trying to take over the island. So it's like old versus new, I guess, in a sense. And it just leads to like very gruesome and horrific type of things going on. I guess, I don't know, I want to have more of like, you know how like everyone was freaked out when Kimi and everyone discovered what was in it? I kind of need more of that going on, I think. More than anything. But I don't know, like it's been decent, you know, like I definitely like it. I would say, you know, a solid C plus B minus right now. But again, it's only 2 episodes, so it's tough for me to really go on.
You know, the other thing that's weird to me was, I think this was in episode 1. Yeah, it was in episode 1 where they're like there was like, I want to say large crowds of people walking up that path to the building over there that's up at the top of the hill there at the end of the path, I think it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, what is that all about? Like, why are we
That
going in?
is
Are we going to go
weird,
into detail about that?
Because
Yeah,
it
and
gives
like,
that like what, that religious cult type of feel.
It
Yeah.
really does, yeah.
and they were saying like,
Which
well,
can also be
that
scary,
needs
too.
to happen. Like the one guy's like, that needs to happen, and I'm like, why does that need to happen though? Like,
That's a
is
good
there
point.
something that you need to tell us about?
That's a good
Like,
point. I never really put much stock during that.
you gotta see. There's like Laser was saying. There's like there's clues in there where you're kind of like, okay.
I'm that man putting all the stuff on the wall and just
But I
putting the
also
lines
think-
between them with the
But I also think that some of those clues are also supposed to deceive you into thinking that, you know, something else is going on when really there is this over here going on.
Are you telling me Production IG and Maki's lying to me?
Yes.
God damn it. She got me. She got me.
Well, but and that's why, like I said, this could be like a whole dream thing, because you're sitting here thinking to yourself like, okay, what's going on here?
Well, I mean, how
'Cause-
does this ultimately tie into lady that got sacrificed in the past? There's some stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that plays with what Paul's saying about the religious cult aspect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no,
we'll find out.
There's
We'll
a lot of
find out.
interesting theories that you can throw in, but I think we do have a great kind of cast of characters that really kind of, as Paul say, deceive us. You know, the red herrings kind of aspect to it, and then keep us guessing. Because like, who knows? It could be Khan, it could be Kimi, it could be the racist woman, it could be the dudes that are chilling at the bus stop, as Paul's saying. It could be Yuri's mom. It could be Yuri. Who knows? You know, there's a lot of different people at play that really kind of makes it to where you get to that uncomfortable level, like, oh, we can't trust anyone. Where's it going? Who's really pulling?
I mean, for all we know, at the end of this, there's going to be a hollow sitting there. Who knows? Whatever.
Right?
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Well,
And
I mean,
then all
like,
of a sudden,
Tie it
Bleach
all
is on
into
Toonami.
Bleach.
yeah. All of a sudden, oh, because of Kurosaki, right? Oh,
Yeah.
I know. I will say, when I heard the name, I was just like, man, don't do me
No.
like that.
Now, just by the scenes that I've seen subbed so far, like I haven't watched it, but just based on the scenes that I've seen pop up on the internet, I'm just like, not to kind of go off topic here, but I'm just like, now that I'm excited for.
Oh, who's not excited for
Like,
1,000
dude,
Years?
if that-
all right. Let's rein in it. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about housing complex. Obviously, everyone at Toonami Faithful is excited about that. I mean, if we're gonna have an episode about Bleach coming back, we need Darrell. Have to
Well, we
have.
This
can't-
is true.
Well, we can't
He will
do
murder us
that
if
yet
we
because
don't.
we don't know if it's coming back.
Well,
so.
I know. I'm not saying we're doing it, but I'm saying
Coming back on Toonami, I should say.
Right. If we're gonna ever talk about it, we're gonna have to have him on. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That kind of thing. So I'm glad that you're excited about it. Hopefully you can get a little more excited for what's airing on Toonami currently, like Housing Complex C. I know I need a little bit more. I'm hoping we get a little bit more, because if there's one thing I do trust is like, Maki's word of mouth when it comes to it, because who hasn't loved the projects she's worked on? A lot of them have been really good. Really, really good. Another horror adjacent, like Be the Beginning. Really, really like that. Really, really like that. And I didn't want to talk about a show I wish could make it on Toonami, but c'est la vie. But it's one of those types of things where I trust her judgment on those types of stuff, and I can't wait to really kind of see how those last two episodes play out to be able to really kind of give us a full picture. Which, I guess I think that's probably why I'm a little more down to, because I'm like, I just, like Laser said, gotta know. Gotta give me it. Gotta give me that.
They're doing a fantastic job making an interesting mystery. I have to give them that.
And I guess, like I say, I kind of want more of like the kind of feel, but I'm not getting. I'm just getting like a kind of feel. If you could kind of understand how the tone...
I do.
Yeah.
For me, I'm having the observation. That's actually why I'm enjoying. If I had the other feeling, I'd be like, I don't like this.
Laser's a scaredy cat.
I am absolutely 100%. I'm Luigi in his mansion. Mario!
Oh man, and then Paul's beating some ghoul's ass.
Wait, do I get a sword?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm in.
There we
I'm
go.
in.
See?
I'm in.
But I guess that'll wrap it up there. How have you guys been enjoying Housing Complex C? What did you like about episode 2? What didn't you like about episode 2? What are you expecting for the next couple episodes? We are almost done with it already, right? And also, just for us, for humor, just for this episode, what would you say is horror adjacent? I really am curious. Want to know? Make sure you tell us on that one. No.
What have I done?
I need to know. I need to know on this.
Is Terminator a horror film?
First one is. I stand by that 100%. You cannot change my mind. The second one's not.
Oh my god! This is actually
Laser.
It's like the was it the Muppets? The two old dudes arguing. I love it.
Oh!
Yeah, I love it. But yeah, make sure you kind of tell us on that. Just because I'm fairly interested, because you do see a lot of horror elements in Housing Complex C, and you probably see it in a lot of other than stuff that we mentioned. I definitely want more. Like, I need more of it, I guess, just because I enjoy the genre as much as I do. So hopefully that happens, and hey, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm enjoying the live tweets, the reactions. I am enjoying seeing, it seems like people are tweeting about it more so than other shows that have been leading the block, which I do think is a testament to how hard the cast worked on it and the crew worked on it and that type of stuff, which is always something I think really helps with making a show more popular, right? I think that's what helped Fena, because I think Fena was super, super popular amongst Toonami fans despite how kind of weird it ended. And I think Housing Complex C is getting that same type of attention, which I think is really paramount to be able to have I wouldn't say successful show, but a more beloved within the community, which is good. I think
Where's
it deserves
Darrell
it.
when we need to play taps?
Right. I think I do think that Housing Complex C is getting the type of treatment that not a lot of other shows might be getting, and I'm really happy for it. Especially because, hey, it's leading Toonami. That's great. On Spoopy season! This is perfect for it.
Season.
All we're missing is like Uzumaki playing right after it, right? That would have been that would have been so fun. That would have been
I was
so
hoping
fun.
we'd get Uzumaki for this season, but
Right?
I'll take Housing Complex C.
Yeah, totally. Hey, if there's one thing I enjoy is that this has helped filling out my Halloween quota of media watching. Because I can only watch High School of the Dead so many times.
Oh my gosh.
That's definitely horror adjacent in more ways than one, Laser.
Yeah.
But, I guess
I mean, I'm the guy who's been watching Stranger Things, and I'd call that horror adjacent, so there you go.
I've never watched, so I would probably say
Highly
right.
recommend. I'm in the middle of season 3, and it's quite good. It is the live-action anime you've all wanted.
I never wanted it to begin with, so...
Except for it's not an anime, but you know what I mean.
Everything's... If Cory in the House can be anime, so can this. So, I guess we'll wrap it up there. We'll do some house cleaning, but I don't have the script, so I'm just going to wing it. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials, like Toonami Podcast, Toonami News, and on our Facebook and YouTube pages as well. We have a TikTok now. Paul made us a TikTok, so definitely check us out at Toonami Faithful Official over on TikTok and on YouTube, I think.
Well, it's Toonami Faithful, actually.
It's just Toonami Faithful, no official. What has
Yes.
official? It's the Facebook, right?
It's the Facebook, yes.
Yeah, okay. That's where I've seen it. So you can find us on Facebook at Toonami Faithful Official. You can find us on TikTok at Toonami Faithful and Instagram at Toonami Faithful, unless that's also Toonami Faithful Official.
On Instagram?
Yeah.
No, that one's actually Toonami Faithful.
Okay. There we go. See, we're learning. And make sure you check out the Toonami Faithful podcast.
I just read the script.
Fuck you, Paul. I'm hosting. I'm doing it. It's more natural. We love it.
We're doing it live.
We are doing it live.
Slowly takes the mic away from CJ.
He's drunk with power, I tell you. Get rid of this man. But you can check us out on all your favorite platforms. You can listen to podcasts, whether it be Apple Play, Spotify, Audible, you name it. If it hosts podcasts, you will find the Toonami Faithful podcast on it. And you can subscribe to our Patreon at Toonami Faithful. And there you can check out behind the scenes interviews, stuff from our documentary, What Toonami Means to Me, or future interviews that hopefully we'll be able to set up. I know it's a little hard going with that, but we'll try to get there. And like we say, we are from Toonami Faithful, obviously, so make sure you check out our website to be able to check out our articles, our reviews, our previews, our podcast. You can even see who's staff there if you're curious on that, which is always nice. Get to know the people behind.
Staff?
We have staff. It's like little Hamtaro hamsters on the wheel, just going in a circle, never making anything actually happen.
Give us Hamtaro discotheque.
That's just
give us
that's
Hamtaro.
That's just lazy.
So
Yeah.
you can find us
Yeah,
on.
Sometimes we feed him Sometimes we feed him scraps.
He deserves it. Now,
Not really.
but make sure you check out all of our socials on that, and hopefully you enjoy listening to the Toonami Faithful podcast, especially when we have, shall we say, more robust guests than who we have here today. I enjoy horror, but I'm not as much of a buff as Kuro clearly is, which is why she's perfect to review these things. Make sure you check out her reviews when they are going live on our website. They're really good. She puts a lot of work into them.
She's doing absolutely amazing work.
And Paul's the one who set it all up, so thank him for that.
That's right.
Thank you, Paul.
So, with that...
And don't you forget it.
Oh, who are you? Anyway, let's go over and say our goodbyes. Laser, where can our listeners find you?
You can find me on Twitter at LaserKid Prime. You can find my Toonami Focus articles on Toonami Faithful. And you can find me occasionally on V-Lord's many, many podcasts.
There's a lot, actually. V-Lord collecting podcasts like he's Thanos.
Yeah. I like to call it the V-Lord podcast universe.
Pretty much. Paul, where could our listeners find you?
Everywhere.
Everywhere and anywhere.
No. You can find me at Paul Pascrillo on Twitter. And you can email me, paulpascrillo at toonamifaithful.com.
And send all your hate mail to that account, because it will not be read. Or do you actually?
Yeah, no, it won't be read. No, I don't read that email.
Yeah, I didn't think we should.
Well, see, the hate mail that I get is basically them going, "Why did you play this show on Toonami?"
You should give like sarcastic answers to that.
Because it would make you mad. That's why.
Sketch won't let me, and then you yell at me eventually about it anyway.
That's true. Maybe I'm trying to just sabotage you and yell at you.
Mm-hmm.
See,
you just want to yell
trap.
at me.
He learned. He's evolving. Excuse me. Oh, jeez. Now I'm getting a cough. And you can find me on Twitter at CJ Maffris. You'll find my This Week from Toonami weekly articles. I usually review all the articles that come up. We should be getting a guest article soon. Might be a little bit, but we'll get that up there, which should be fun. That's always fun, and we're always down to have more articles like that. And yeah, so hopefully you do that. Hopefully you've checked out the Toonami documentary, What Toonami Means to Me. It's up on our YouTube and Facebook pages. Full length, 90 minutes. Get your popcorn. So it's not a brevity would have really helped, I think, on that one. But it was a lot of fun, a lot of good work, and hopefully you guys check it out. It's almost 2 years since that came out. That's crazy.
I know time flies, but it's a good one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely definitely fun if you want to check it out. But on that note, we want to thank you all for listening to us ranting about Housing Complex C. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way. So hopefully you enjoyed our discussion with it. As you can tell, we are pretty interested with different facets of the series. And hopefully it can expand upon that when we hit our future episodes 3 and 4. And that's it. Maybe they'll give us a second season, Laser. Housing Complex D.
I'm all for it. Give me Housing Complex D right now.
And then we get 2 prequels, right? B and A.
Yes.
So,
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll get it. But thank you all for listening, and have a wonderful day.
Peace.
In 2022, a cracked podcasting unit was delayed to events they couldn't prevent. These men and women probably set up a recording for another time. Today, still wanted by listeners, they survive as podcasters of fortune. If you have a topic and no one else can help, and you can find them, maybe you can hire the Toonami Faithful A-Team.
Oh, wait, that's us now. Wait,
Hey Tom, it's finally time to roll out the goods.
Hell yeah. Check out this special look at Black Adam.
Let's start with one simple question. Can you fly?
Black Adam. He's been asleep for 5,000 years.
This loose cannon needs to be locked down.
How about I rip your little wings off instead? Here we go.
We're here to negotiate your peaceful surrender.
He doesn't really seem like a peacefully negotiate kind of guy.
Good luck.
In this world, there are heroes and there are villains.
You said you wouldn't hurt the prisoners. That was sarcasm. There's nothing on this planet that can stop me.
Woo! I just got goosebumps.
Did he just catch a rocket? That's so badass.
Black Adam. Get tickets now. Rated PG-13.
So, is Black Adam a hero or a villain?
Dwayne Johnson is awesome either way.
True that.
Black Adam is in theaters this Friday.
Every Saturday night at midnight, Adult Swim is building you a better cartoon show.
All right!
We call it Toonami.
So delightful.
Toonami, every Saturday night. Don't sleep on it.